Hello everybody, my name is Corrupted Pixels and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be reviewing the S.H.Monsterarts Godzilla Evolved. My fiance got me for this as a Valentine's gift and I'm very excited to make this video. This was Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire was the first Godzilla film her and I ever watched together, so her getting this figure means a lot to me, considering that, again, not only was it the first film we watched together, Godzilla Evolved is like my favorite Godzilla design right now, besides like -1. So I really, really like this design for Godzilla. But anyway, I'm not going to ramble a whole bunch because I kind of want to go ahead and get this figure review on and done with because I want to play with my Godzilla figure. It looks awesome. But starting off with the box, we have a promo shot. It was one of the first promo shots we got. It's a trend with like all S.H.Monsterarts. They always have the promo images just all over the boxes. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just kind of, I don't know, would kind of like if maybe they took more unique pictures rather than just the same ones, especially considering the promo images rarely end up looking like what the actual final product looks like. We'll talk more about that as the review goes on, obviously, but yeah, there's not really a whole lot going on with the box, but the colors are gorgeous. I love the blend of purple, blue with the red paint splatters all over the place. It's very pretty. You have your usual legal stuff down at the bottom, and yeah, it's a S.H.Monsterarts box. It's nothing really crazy. Just the name of the movie all over the place. Godzilla all over the place. That's pretty much it. So I'm not going to ramble a ton about the box, because the real star of the show is the figure itself. And honestly, when we ordered this guy, I was very conflicted. I didn't really even think I was going to order this. I wasn't going to order this, actually. I had pretty much come to the conclusion that, yeah, I want it, but I don't really want to spend that kind of money on this because there were like scary reviews saying it wasn't great, saying it had a couple issues, and the high one's coming out soon, so I was like, okay, I'll probably skip out on this and just get it on like a holiday, Christmas, birthday, I don't know. Maybe get it, maybe won't, we'll see. As you see, I got it. She basically told me, I want to get it for you and kiss my ass, and now we're here. Now I have it in my hands. So, without further ado, let's start with the sculpt. Starting off with the sculpt, the head sculpt has been completely redone from the original Monsterverse sculpt that we had, and it looks very good. I am very impressed with the amount of detail they put into this guy, and my figure actually has pretty decent eyes. I know some people have had ones that have very messed up eyes, but mine actually has pretty okay eyes. My only issue that I have with this sculpt is his mouth only opens about that far comfortably, and if you open it further than this, you're going to be stressing the neck flap right here beneath it, and you don't really want to do that, but you don't really have a choice if you want to open his mouth any further. And pushing it to its absolute limits, that's about how far he can look up. For reference, let me put him flat on the table. He's not even looking up. So that is a huge oversight in my opinion. I don't know how on earth nobody realized that was going to be a problem before this thing came out, or how they didn't think that was like a valid issue to worry about. But Godzilla has this thing in the Monsterverse, as we've seen. SH isn't stupid. They know for a fact he does it, where he looks up into the sky and blasts his beam. We've seen it happen. We've seen him roar into the sky. This, that, and the third, with him putting his head up and looking up into the clouds. And for some reason, they were just like, Literally, like, even if I use his torso, that's as far as he can look up. They were just like, yeah, that works. Granted, yeah, that gives you enough room to get your, I guess, awakening pose when he's got his arms out and he's screaming up into the sky. There you go. You know, I suppose it works, but I would like him to be able to look up significantly further, like closer to that range. I think would have been better. I guess if you stress it, you can get him to, but I feel like you probably shouldn't be stressing it. Because his head's popped off for me twice already, and the joint beneath doesn't look too sturdy in my opinion. In fact, I'm very scared that if I drop this guy, that neck joint will break. But I haven't dropped him, and so far he's held together very well. Another issue I did have when I first got him, when I unboxed mine, his tail came clean off right out the box, and I was really worried at first, but then I discovered that the reason that happened is because they just didn't put it together right. That's not really a good thing, but I would much rather it be that they didn't put it together right, and then I can do that myself, rather than it's an actual technical issue. Instead, what I thought was happening was I thought I'm not going to take this apart because it was a huge pain in the ass to put back on. But basically, this joint or this tail segment right here, not this one right here, but this one right here. Or not even really that one actually. There's a small one hidden right here. It's really hard to see, but it cups around this one. And basically, this joint was rubbing, I thought it was rubbing against the hips here. But instead, what was actually happening was, it wasn't built like the last Godzilla was. So instead of slotting into the butt area like the last one, instead it just meets it flush, which is really weird, kind of, because it makes it made it really, 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 really hard to put the tail on. I actually thought I was going to have to shave down parts of the tail because it was being such a pain in the ass. But eventually it worked. I had to squish the crap out of the tail, but eventually I got it to work. But back to the sculpt. The new head sculpt looks absolutely amazing. As I said, I really genuinely love the way the new head sculpt looks. The spines look absolutely beautiful. They're actually translucent. I don't think I have a flashlight laying around I could use, do I? No I don't. No I don't. One moment. Alright, I'm back. Got a flashlight. Here we go. Let's have a look at these translucent spines. Magnificent. Very see-through. Yeah, those spines look really, really good. And then when you shine the light on it, try not to blind you guys, you can see all the vein details and cracks inside the spines. Looks very, very, very good. I quite like the spines on this figure. And they're also very sturdy. There's not a lot of give in them, so it's not like -1 where they're so flexible you're scared they're gonna break, or they're so brittle you're scared they're gonna break. These are pretty damn sturdy. I'm confident in these. Still wouldn't recommend dropping it flat on his back, obviously. It'd probably break if you did that, but as it is, rolling over, tipping over, I really don't think these spines are going to break. Now, moving from the head and neck spine, well, one thing that I'm kind of sad we don't have a lot of is the gills. They don't really look that prominent to me. I could be blind. No, they're there. They're there. Not as prominently as I would like, but they're there. Moving down from there, we have the arms. The arms are sculpted very nicely. I do have a little bit of a gappage issue with the shoulders, I gotta be honest. I don't like how much, like, no matter how you position these things, they're pretty much always gonna have a little bit of a gap, and it's just a little annoying, but it's not, like, anything horrible. I quite like it. It doesn't, like, break any... Oh, no. There's another issue. Let's continue with the arms first. We got good bicep. The detail on it looks absolutely amazing. The scales, as always, for SH look great. And as you move down the forearm, you have this nice plated scaling that looks like armor on like a dinosaur foot or alligator foot. Looks very, very nice. You have a bicep swivel. I don't think... Yeah, no real motion there. Then you go down to the elbow. You got an elbow. Don't know if that's a ball joint. Can't tell. But your elbow can bend in about that far, which is not great, but it's livable. It's definitely easy to work with. Now, the issue I had was right out of the box, I decided to go ahead and switch the hands because I don't really like the relaxed hands. Let me find those right quick. Right here. He comes with two sets of hands. He comes with his regular relaxed hands and that come on the figure, and then he comes with these grabbing hands that he looked to use they're meant to look like what he looked like when he jumped out the water when he was chasing after Kong in Egypt. When he like bursts out of the water and claws his way onto land. That's kind of what they look like to me. The issue is this joint right here is a pain. Basically what happened the first time is when I took this hand off, the joint came off with the hand, and then I had to spend the next like 15 minutes trying to get this tiny little joint right up in here into this hand, and then this hand onto this figure. That was not fun, because for some unlordly reason, this joint is ridiculously tight. It takes way too much strength to put this hand onto the figure, and then it comes off relatively easily after just a little bit of play. It's a little ridiculous in my opinion. But, you know, it's not terrible. It's just a small thing. You got to put the hand back on every now and then, which, if you've had any S.H.Monsterarts figure after 2021, you're probably already used to the hands of these figures falling off a lot. Because the Monsterverse figures, especially 2021, and literally every repaint they've done in that figure, it's been really, really bad. But, luckily, this figure, the hands stay on pretty well for the most part. The legs are very weird. They're good. They work. But I don't understand some design choices they decided to make. Main one being, we can get a kick out all the way up to here. Literally, like, he could literally kick Kong right in the face without lifting another foot, right? But that's as far back as it goes. Everything else you have to do with the knee joint and hope for the best, which doesn't make for a good running pose when Godzilla can only look up about that far. This is what your running poses are generally going to look like. A little bit awkward. You can't have him with one leg like significantly further back, with this one forward like this. You can, but look how awkward that looks, especially from like a front view. Like, why is he running like that? Wide ass steps, you know? It doesn't look right. And the reason it doesn't look right is, again, because the sculpt rubs against itself. For some reason, they made the legs different, even though the old legs were just perfect. They remade the legs to where now they have this piece in here to prevent gapping. Now, that's great and all, but because, like, what happened last time was when the thigh was all one piece, the two thigh pieces would rub against each other inside of here and mess up your figure. So their solution was to add another flab of sculpt here to cover up that, like, can articulate with the thighs when you open and close them. And that sounds good on paper, but you shouldn't do that if it screws up the articulation. That just seems like not a great idea. Why would you sacrifice articulation for a minor gap, you know? I get that people don't want gaps, but, like, I'm also pretty sure most collectors would like their legs to be able to go back a little further than just neutral stance. Anyways, besides that, we move on down to the tail. The tail's got awesome articulation. Sculpt is absolutely beautiful. Tail articulation is so good, in fact, it can go... Uh-oh. The tip of his tail is very annoying, but I think that's just a my copy thing. I haven't seen many people have that problem. Here we go. His tail can curl around all the way up to his hip, pretty much. Well, all the way up to his hip, but then has a little bit of give. And as far as curving downwards, we get pretty much a cat curl up. Very nice. I quite like that. Looks very good. Very happy with that. No real issues with the sculpt. Aside from, the few that I did point out. That being the head articulation, not being able to look up as far. That's really annoying. The hand being such a pain to get on was annoying, and the leg gap flap. That's what I'm gonna call it, the leg gap flap. And that's another thing. Like, I get the thought behind it, but the only real way you're gonna notice these gaps is if you have him standing in this silly wide stance, right? Well, if you have him standing in this silly wide stance, then he's gonna have a gap back here anyway, and like. Yeah, you can fix that, but why couldn't they just do something like that with the inner thigh gap? Why couldn't they just have it to where you could just slide the leg back inward or something instead of, sacrificing leg movement? I don't know. Maybe I'm silly. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to get into a few issues I do have with this figure. My copy specifically. S.H.Monsterarts has been horrible with quality control for the past few releases now, and we all know it. If you refuse to admit it, you're lying to yourself, and you should stop. But, as much as I want to love this figure, I do have a few issues. I do love the figure, don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound like I don't like it. I do love it. It's amazing. At the end of the day, it's Godzilla evolved, so I'm gonna like it no matter what. But a figure that costs about $150 in the US should not have repeated paint application issues. It's hard to see. But right here on this spine, you can see a bit of gray paint right at the tip of my finger. There you go. You can see it pretty well right there. Right at the tip of my finger. Okay, well you're like, okay, well that's just one little dabble of paint. You could probably fix that. Probably not a huge deal. Then on this side, I've just got a massive glob right there. No reason. Just massive glob of paint on the edge of Godzilla's spine. And, again, it's not that big of a deal because Godzilla's spines are by no means neat in the movies, They're all ragged and rugged and messy looking, But this is a $150 figure. That should not really be a problem. Because I know for a fact those weren't there in the movie. I don't mind it because in my head, when I'm playing with it, I can be like, okay, whatever. It doesn't really bother me that bad. It just looks like his skin tone, so it looks a little natural. Hell, you really can't even see it. I bet you didn't even notice it till I pointed it out. That's how unnoticeable it is. But it's still an issue for a $150 collector figure. That's something that you really just shouldn't allow. That's something that, as a company, you shouldn't want to allow. Now, earlier I did notice that it looked like his jaw paint bleeds a little into his gums. And I'll use the camera now to see if I was right when I noticed that. It looks like I am. It looks like on the bottom jaw, right here, it looks like his gums have a little bit of skin tone paint on them. Which, again, not a huge deal. That I really don't care about because the gum paint and teeth paint is really good, so I'm not really super duper worried about that. But I just feel like those other quality control issues are just really unacceptable for a figure that is of this high a standard. You know, it just doesn't seem right. The details inside of the mouth, though, look very good. He does have an articulated tongue. Let's see if I can get up in there and move it. Yep, there we go. Got the tongue. First try. Articulated tongue, very nice. Most Godzilla figures in the S.H. line do. But let me go ahead and get this guy in a decent pose so we can compare him to other figures from S.H.Monsterarts and other companies. I'm going to make this guy stand as tall as I can because Godzilla Evolved is taller than Godzilla 2019, but they decided not to make him that way, so I'm going to try to pretend he is as best as I can. By cheating and making him stand funny. He's not really going to stand that funny. I'll be fair. I'll put him in a neutral pose. This is probably how you're going to have him posed on your shelf with his knees a little bent. So, let's take him like this and compare. Scoot him over a little bit. First off, we're going to compare him with my custom painted, semi-evolved S.H.Monsterarts Godzilla 2021 or 2024. Either one. They both have the same sculpt. Yeah, you can kind of see my issue here. Godzilla Evolved doesn't look like a bulkier version of Godzilla. He kind of looks like a wimpy younger cousin. I don't know why, but they didn't make him like a little bit taller. I feel like he should be about like this height maybe, like just a little bit taller and larger than this guy, because instead, generally speaking, this guy kind of just looks smaller than this guy. From the muscle definition on the legs, you know, these look like little puny, little wimpy legs. Meanwhile, these look like robust thunder stompers, you know? It's kind of just like, ugh. But, again, it's Evolved Godzilla, gets across the field, and it does look good. I just feel like they should have upscaled everything about this just a little bit. Like, just made him a little bit bigger. But, it's not a huge deal. Next, we're going to compare it to the S.H.Monsterarts Spitfire poster color version Godzilla 2019. And now you can really see the thing that I'm talking about, how they really just did not... He's small. He's just really small, and I kind of hate it. But, you know, it's not terrible. He does scale pretty decently with just about everyone. Next, we have Hayatoy's Kong Skull Island, because my S.H.Monsterarts Kong 2021 broke on me, and I haven't decided if I want to order a 2024 or not. But these two actually scale pretty well. If you want to pretend this is Kong 2024 instead, you could. If you prefer the Skull Island design over the older Kratos Kong of the newer movies, then you could definitely pretend that that Kong is the new Kong. Next, we're going to compare it to S.H.Monsterarts Mechagodzilla 2021. And can I just say, this figure, Mechagodzilla 2021 went from being my favorite Mechagodzilla design to being my least. I don't know how we got here. I don't know what changed. But for some reason, I went from loving this design to just being so sick of it. And I kind of think it had something to do with Kaiju Universe while it was out. But now you can really tell my problem. Mechagodzilla is so tall, he's literally barely in frame of the camera compared to Evolved Godzilla. That is not correct. I'm sorry. But when Godzilla evolved, it was kind of like shown that, oh wow, now Mechagodzilla looks a lot more similar to this version of Godzilla. but not really anymore because this makes Evolved Godzilla still look so pathetic and small compared to Mechagodzilla. But besides that, one of the last figures we have is S.H.Monsterarts Godzilla Earth. I've been getting a lot of requests to review this guy, so I think I might be doing that pretty soon. But S.H.Monsterarts Godzilla Earth compared to Godzilla Evolved, Godzilla Earth is actually ever so slightly bigger. Tiny bit taller, definitely a lot chunkier. But that's to be expected. Godzilla Earth was very dense in comparison to Godzilla Evolved, so to be expected. And then last but not least, the one you've been waiting for, S.H.Monsterarts Godzilla Evolved compared to Hiya Toys Godzilla 2019. This is how big he should be. I think that's a fair statement to make. I think this guy should be I think this guy should be this size. Height, like, if I have this guy standing at, like, how I would normally have him standing on my desk, he's taller than Evolved Godzilla. And I think that's about how big he should be. Because when you compare that to this, that looks that just about looks right. Like, if you were to say this was Evolved Godzilla and compare it to the 2019 Godzilla, I'd say that's about how tall Evolved Godzilla is compared to 2019 Godzilla, I think. But maybe I'm wrong. You know, I've seen the size charts, and that seems about right to me. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong. But in comparison, I think that S.H.Monsterarts actually did a really good job making an accurate sculpt to the film. Their new head sculpt looks very, very nice, and I'd say it's probably the most accurate S.H.Monsterarts Monsterverse sculpt. I think it's the best one so far. Unfortunately, they didn't decide to rework Kong's sculpt for 2024, so he's still pretty ugly, which is why I don't know if I want to get him or not. I really don't like the way he looks. Scar King as well. His roaring head is just all wrong, and I don't know. And then Shimo is a whole case in and of herself. I'm probably going to get her eventually, but I'm not in a rush. She's huge, which is why I want her, but she's $240. And the paint detail it's pretty good, but the sculpt is so inaccurate to what we got in the movie, and I don't know. I'm someone who values accuracy a lot, and you know, maybe that's a problem for me. You know, S.H.Monsterarts seems to be doing their own stylized thing more so now rather than going for full on accuracy, so if that's what they want to do, then great. You know, more power to them. But I personally am probably not going to get many more S.H.Monsterarts Monsterverse figures until, you know, a new movie comes out and maybe the next thing looks good. But I'm mostly going to be holding out hope for Hiya. So, unfortunately, probably don't expect a Scar King review from me. Not for a few months at least. I might get it if I get some extra pocket change to spend on it, but as it stands, I'm not really willing to drop $104 on a figure being Scar King that is just, it's not up to the standard that I want my figures to have for that price, if that makes sense. So if you were hoping for that from me, I am sorry. It doesn't feel right spending that much money on that when I could just hold out for Hiya's, which will be half the price, you know, and it'll look better. So I think it'd be better to just wait for Hiya Toys. So with that being said, that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I will be posting more Path of Titans videos soon. Also, going to be doing Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 at some point soon, maybe a day or two from now. So if you're interested, stay tuned for that. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.